There's only one. Hey there, Daniel.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. Michael, hey there.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
I'm pretty good. Cannot complain.
Love that wallpaper, Matt.
You know, at least people know who to talk at. Something like that, right?
Right. It kind of has that main office feel.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm going for, I guess. Hey there, Aaron. Hi, Cyrus.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Good. Matt, I 2 days ago I was on an online call. It was about AI, LLM. It was about someone shared something. She said it's a secret weapon prompt that you can use if.
Oh wow! I felt like that was at like the peak.
Yeah. I like that, and I'm going to share that prompt today with you.
Oh, throw it in chat for sure. Yeah, throw it in. Let us know. All right, I got a couple people coming in. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes here. We'll see who loads in. My case today was clearly riveting. This is a lesson in the minutia. That's what I was going for.
The importance of timing.
Something like that. All right. Hey there, Kong. How are you?
Hey, Matt. I know under the weather lately.
Yeah. That's too bad. Are you on the road or are you?
No.
Oh, it's just not feeling good. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Hey, Linda. How are you?
Hi.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna get going here so that we don't sit in silence and stare at each other.
Oh, I can talk.
No,
sorry.
It's fine. I know otherwise everybody just stares and is like, what's going on here? You know? So I got to learn to juggle.
You're good.
You know.
You're good.
Cool. Let me flip to this thing. All right. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Case Studies Club. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate you being here. I want to go over, for those of you that are new, just set kind of a couple of rules of the road, and then we'll get into things, and you'll figure out how it goes. So I guess I said this initially, but I guess welcome to the minutia. And what I mean by that, like this case, we went, if you had been here in previous weeks, they were quite grandiose, world-saving, in fact. And this one is clearly not. So I went to the other end of the spectrum to talk about some other type of issues that maybe have some strategic importance. We'll see how it goes. So just kind of a couple of rules of road of how things are going to work. So I'm going to play about a 5 to 6 minute video for those of you who went to the case page. It's the same video that's on the case page. For those of you that haven't looked at anything on the case, this thing will get you caught up to speed pretty quickly so you can participate in the conversation. Conversation will take about 35-ish minutes. Just a heads up, that's what we'll put into actually discussing the case. I've got kind of a lead-in question to help us kind of get prompted and get started. When we get in there, if you can raise your hand to queue, that is super helpful so I can kind of call on people in order. That said, try to keep it pretty informal. So if you've got a hot take, feel free to jump in. We don't have to only rely on the hand raise. Kind of the last thing, number one, if you'd like to share any information, website, LinkedIn, I'll share my LinkedIn right now. This is a way of kind of doing some ad hoc networking. I know we're not specifically here to network, but if you hear somebody say something smart, maybe you want to reach out to them and say, hey, what's up? Lastly, the last 10 minutes, I'm going to go in and try to prompt us, help me create next week's case so that you can be involved in that process. Cool. Awesome. All right. I'm going to jump into the next case video, and it is called The Tyranny of the Calendar. All right, so it's going to take about 5 to 6 minutes. If you can, just give me a thumbs up to make sure that my sound is working.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a business problem that looks super simple on the surface, but is actually packed with strategic landmines. The question, what day of the week should you launch a new show? Seems easy, but this one decision could make or break the whole thing.
And this quote just nails it, right? That's our starting point today. Because sometimes the most basic decisions hide the biggest strategic challenges. So let's get into it. So here's the setup. We've got this online edutainment company. They have a really loyal audience that tunes in every Tuesday for a pretty serious business event. But now they're launching something totally new, something different. It's called the New Idea Show, a fun, kind of quirky AI-powered pitch competition. The idea is great, but its entire future starts with one little choice on a calendar. So the board is set, the time is locked in at 4:30 p.m. to match their other event. Weekends are out, and Tuesday, of course, is already taken by their main show. That leaves Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Simple enough, right? Well, not so fast. And this is where it gets messy. This is where a simple choice spirals into a full-blown strategic puzzle. See, it's not just about finding an empty spot on the calendar, it's about understanding how that spot will interact with everything else the company is doing. Okay, so this is the absolute key to the whole dilemma. The Tuesday show isn't just another piece of content. It's their single biggest marketing tool. It's where they can announce this new show to a perfect, built-in, captive audience. But how well that announcement works depends completely on which day they pick. And this visual just lays it out perfectly. Think about it. You announce the new show on Tuesday for a Wednesday slot, people only have to remember for 24 hours. No problem. But announce it for a Monday show, you're asking your audience to hold that thought for 6 full days. That is a huge difference, and it's a massive strategic problem to solve. On top of that memory gap, every day has its own vibe, its own personality. Wednesday might get a nice little promotional boost from another event. Thursday runs smack into the NFL juggernaut. Friday, you're fighting against that powerful, I'm done with work feeling. And Monday, well, you know, it's Monday. Each day has its own unique mix of headwinds and opportunities. So to solve this, we have to stop asking which day is best, and we need to start asking much better, much smarter questions. This is how you go from just picking something to actually building a real strategy. So let's look at what those questions are. First off, who is this show even for? Are we trying to get the same serious professional crowd from Tuesday to come back for a second helping? Or are we trying to attract a brand new, more casual audience who might have found the Tuesday show a little too intense? Your answer to that question completely changes the game. Next question. How much does the calendar really control our fate? If we pick Monday, with that massive 6-day memory gap, can a brilliant marketing campaign save the day? Or is scheduling so powerful that even the best marketing in the world can't fix a bad choice? And this is a classic business trade-off, isn't it? Is it better to pick a safe day, like maybe a Thursday, that will probably give you okay results with low risk? Or do you take a big swing on a day like Wednesday or Friday that could either be a huge home run or a total strikeout? And finally, let's be real about what's actually at stake here. A weak launch can absolutely kill a project's momentum and all the internal support before it even gets a chance to grow. The pressure to nail it on day one is huge, because in business, perception can become reality really, really fast. Okay, so with all those questions in our back pocket, those 4 available days, they're not just days anymore. They've transformed into 4 completely different strategies. Each one is basically a bet on a different theory of what actually gets an audience to show up. What's so cool about this is how it reframes the whole choice. Monday becomes the clean slate strategy. Wednesday is all about maximum leverage, go, go, go. Thursday is the safe, middle ground option, and Friday is the contrarian bet, hoping that a casual show fits the end-of-week vibe.
Each one has a clear upside and a pretty significant downside. But really, the whole thing kind of boils down to this: Monday versus Wednesday. Monday is the long game. It's a bet that great marketing can overcome that huge memory gap. Wednesday is a blitz. It's a bet that putting the shows back to back will create momentum, not burnout. It's a fascinating choice between two totally different philosophies. Meanwhile, Thursday and Friday are facing some serious external battles. Thursday has to go toe-to-toe with a known competitor for eyeballs, the NFL, and Friday has to fight a powerful cultural force, the weekend. These aren't just theories, they are real, concrete challenges you have to factor in.
So we've laid out the problem, the constraints, and all the competing strategies. The whole point of an analysis like this isn't to find the one right answer, because honestly, one probably doesn't exist. The real work of strategy is understanding and weighing all these complicated trade-offs.
And that brings us to the final question, and it's for you. Given everything we've looked at, where would you place your bet? Would you bet on the raw promotional power of Wednesday, on overcoming the audience psychology of a Monday, or on finding a competitive opening on a Thursday or Friday? Thinking through that choice, that is the very heart of strategy.
All right. So when I was kind of thinking about this and taking notes and trying to figure out kind of what question that I wanted to prompt. And I think we're going to get into, at some point we'll talk about these days, but I guess the question that I started thinking about was, how important of a decision is this? If I think about the amount of brain power that I have in the course of a week, like what percentage of my brain power should I be putting towards thinking about this decision? Is this, I mean, this case clearly constructs this as very, something that's very important, but I wrote down, when we're thinking about strategic decisions and, we think about these things and it's like, oh, I really need to make the right decision. And in some respect, I'm like, am I just filling my time in the day? Am I constructing work to make it feel like this is an important decision? And maybe it's just, whatever, just pick whatever and move on. Or maybe it depends on the role I play in the business, or how I'm compensated on whether or not I should be putting more, thought process into this. I guess so. That's maybe my first question prompt is, how important is this decision? Any thoughts? Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, I'll go for it. I think there's a merit to this, but I think that even the setup is full of assumptions that are short-circuiting the reasoning.
Okay, like what?
So it starts off with, Monday is too far in memory from Tuesday, but I question that, whether that's even, people have calendars today. And then the next point was, well, is this even the same audience?
Sure.
So if it's not the same audience, then putting the word out on Tuesday doesn't help to get a different audience in on a Monday. You're going to have to message it separately to get people in on a Monday, especially if you want a messaging to be close up to the day. So I think having the right advertising, or the right way to get the word out is important. And I think beyond just looking at the good launch, because I did read through the materials earlier, and it also talked about, well, this launch is critical because if we don't have it, we probably won't have stakeholders wanting to support this. But you also have to consider the long-term success. What's the point of a good launch if you're on a bad day, long-term, right?
Sure.
So those are some thoughts.
When it comes to, so something like, okay, knowing the audience, or, is the audience the same audience, or is it not? What if you don't know?
Well, you should know.
How? You can obviously,
But you know what the content shows,
right?
You know what the content is, and you know what you should have a target audience lined up with that show.
Sure. There's still,
So
it's not 100%.
Reason into that is important, instead of just picking the day based on, and again, this is the difficulty with these case studies, right? You have to assume certain things.
Sure. Okay. Michael, you're
You're
muted.
muted.
An advantage of Monday is it allows for more time to build a larger crowd from the Wednesday show. I'm sorry, from the Tuesday show to, really gather a crowd. So from a marketing standpoint, it could be a big plus rather than everyone forgets anything from 6 days prior. It could be more and more people, word of mouth is increasing by the time you do the show. So it could be a big plus.
Okay. I guess going back to my initial question from an importance standpoint, I mean, is there an important decision here, or is it just an easy decision to make? Or is it both, I guess? Does that make
Are
sense?
you thinking?
I don't think it's easy. And I think there's some importance. I also don't think you should spend a whole week thinking about it.
Only a day.
Aaron or Linda, I know you got your hand up. Aaron, did you have anything? I thought I saw you.
Well, I think it's interesting that they are sort of limiting the days based on one particular thing that is happening,
Yeah.
rather than considering all the potential events that could be occurring, and just assuming that this one event will basically just draw away the entire audience. It kind of goes in what Daniel was saying, in that you think you would know what sort of people would be interested in this, and building off of that, they could also do other things to, bring more people in it. Like, hey, maybe like offer catering or something. That always generally a good idea. Some sort of interactivity, like some sort of networking opportunity. Do more that can actually bring people in and generate interest.
Yeah,
Maybe that's sort of like thing on a website to say, hey, this is what we have here.
It's
This is the time
interesting
frame
here.
we're breaking events down.
It's interesting to hear you guys talk about this, because in my I mean, clearly this is kind of built off using this as the underlying event and playing with an expansion. In my world, like, I feel like I get an interesting idea that has there's some sort of interesting premise. There's like maybe an inkling of who might be interested, but in some respect, these things aren't really well defined, and that's where I get into, well, I can spend weeks thinking about who the target audience is, and then landing on, okay, this is the perfect plan for going out and getting the target audience, and then you launch the thing, and then what ends up happening is nobody shows up, and so in some respect, then you've taken a lot of that thought process that would go into the perfect plan and kind of, and it's been wasted. So I guess maybe thinking about the day in this sense is, and Daniel, maybe this is the reason why there are a bunch of holes, is, in some respect, there is like a half-baked idea. And then maybe the question is the day what you should be thinking about, or is there other?
That's what market research is about, right? Talking to your potential audience members and finding out who's interested and why they're interested, so you can refine that idea before launching this.
Yeah,
and that's the purpose of market research.
It is. I also go back to I go back to like a Henry Ford quote. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Like people will say all sorts of things, and then their actions, don't match. So that doesn't necessarily mean that all market research is bad, but I think, if market research told you to put it on a Wednesday, I still think there's a whole lot of reason not to put it on a Wednesday.
Well, that's not what your market research is giving you. Your market research should give you your audience profile. And then you can decide things, whether if it's not the same audience, then Wednesday doesn't have that priority post Tuesday that you're imagining.
Got it. So you're saying that you can use market research to basically confirm audience, but then develop a plan around maybe how to reach that audience.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Linda. Sorry,
Okay.
Linda, go along on the.
Oh, no, that's okay. No. So I'm just going to throw out a couple things that I got. So not everyone likes football, and maybe that's not your target market. What's your intention? Who's your target audience? I think that's what Daniel was hitting on. And if you did it back to back, it could be like a 2-part series. It's been a long time since I watched The Voice. They do day 1, day 2, and they continue it on. So those are some of the thoughts I had as Daniel and Aaron were talking. So I don't know if that helps.
Those are great questions. Do you have any answers to any of them?
Oh, yeah. I always have answers. Okay, so I feel, no offense to anybody here, I feel like this is business generated, and by the time someone's watching football, business is not in their brain. So maybe that's not the audience you're after. And then kind of like, what's your intention? Like, focus towards building off of Tuesday, because then Wednesday is an extension of more or less, whichever way you want to look at it.
Sure.
And I think the target audience is someone who's serious about going forward in their life, but they don't have time to go to college or something like that. Just kind of in the research, figure out who that is. And I kind of like the idea of the 2-part series. It's really serious, sort of serious. Dip your toe in it on Wednesday, and then on Tuesdays for, we're really dissecting it. So those are just some of my ideas.
Can I ask a question on a question like, what's your intention? Is that another way of asking, like, what problem are you trying to solve for whoever you're trying to reach, or what is that?
Is this the intention? Is the creator of this, what are they really wanting to do? They want to build the platform, build more people to come. Like, what is their intention of wanting to do this?
Okay, and that's important. Why?
So you're focused, not just out there throwing out business ideas, in my opinion.
Okay, and being focused is important.
Oh, because you want serious people. You don't want to just be out there in La La Land, which it appears I could be.
Okay. I'm digging a little bit because, what I would say, what the intention is, I'm guessing the intention is to make money, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, there's all sorts of ways to make money or garner influence, but there's something, in either, attract new audience so that those people turn into customers, or those people turn into referrals, or those people turn into eyeballs that you can sell ads against, or there's some sort of attraction, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm thinking is, like, for example, I like to be at this group, and I like to know, what does Daniel do? I want to know more about Daniel to see how I can help him in business and how he can help me. Cyrus, the same, building off of whatever your intention is. And Michael, yeah. Aaron, Cyrus.
Aaron,
like,
I think you had your hand up as well. Did you have something to add there? Or
Oh yeah, I was going to comment on something that both you and Daniel said.
Sure.
So with what Daniel said, market research is important because you want to know what your audience is, and you'd be catering it to that. So, but naturally, you basically base the day off of that, so you'd be able to optimize in that regard.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, if you ask what people want, they would say faster horse. Basically, goes into the fact that people don't know what they want in many cases until they actually have it.
Right.
So it's kind of tricky.
Do you agree with that?
In many cases, yes.
Yeah. How do you think about like market research and planning and stuff? Like, does does planning govern, 99% of your activity, or?
I mean, planning is important. It's good to have some sort of framework to work with, but if, things don't always go to plan because, well, that's life. Circumstances are going to change, or there's some things that will come in the way. So you have to basically work around that. It's like change things up a bit.
How do you think about when it comes to like the mesh point of planning versus action? Are you the type of person? Are you like setting a deadline and being like, hey, I'm going to plan up to this point and then go, or are you a little bit more methodic, or how do you weigh those?
I'd say I generally would opt for the former rather than the latter. It's good to have a general idea of when you're going to get things done by.
Yeah.
Can't always be done that way because, again, things might come up that might derail that. But having structure helps, because then it's easy to, if something should come in the way, then get back onto that plan.
Yeah.
And, change, reorient things to get the job done.
I guess so. Daniel, maybe going to your point then. So and maybe this gets into my first question of like, how much time do you donate to figuring out this day? Like, you identified a couple things that are missing maybe in figuring out like what is the right day, like, knowing your audience. Is it, I mean, is it the type of thing that's like, okay, you got to pick something you got to pick either when you want to launch the show, or pick when you want to make the decision, or pick something to kind of anchor to, and then then you fill the remainder of the time to kind of make as best a decision you can at that point.
One question I have for you is, how soon do you want to launch this thing?
Sure.
This week, or do you have a month? Because if you have a month, that's the first week you ask your Tuesday audience, you do the market research, right? Even talk to 5 people that are typical of that audience, or that you think are typical of that audience, and find out whether your assumptions were right or wrong. And you can then start building the marketing, saying, hey, in 4 weeks, we're launching this new show.
Yeah.
And in 3 weeks, you can announce, you then announce the date that it's going to be of the week, right? Or 2 weeks before something. You don't have to do that right away. Meanwhile, you can get more feedback, or you can build enthusiasm for this thing.
So I'll put myself in the position where I'll be the person that's going to answer the question. So the way so my answer to that question would be like, well, I actually have a couple of options. One, I don't actually have to launch this thing. Like, there's no requirement, right? It's kind of like a self-induced thing, which means
sounds like a bad idea. From your description there, I'm kind of joking.
So no, I don't I don't necessarily disagree. I guess that's my my sense of operating in the world is like, I never have to do anything. I never have to. I do things because I choose to. There's nothing that makes me do anything, like. So in some respect, like, it's the motivating function is me simply being like, I'm going to do this. But I have no guaranteed outcome necessarily.
Yeah.
You're making a move, and you're hoping that it's going to fall, it's going to stick.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's worth the effort, whatever that equates to. And so
I have an analogy, but I don't want to. I always come back to the analogies like this. This team doesn't know me very well, but I have a chess analogy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's useful or not.
No, go for it.
But in chess, there are several types of moves. There are moves that are somebody made a mistake. You see a strategic advantage, and you should make a very aggressive move. There are moves where there's nothing you can do. There's no winning move here. there are a lot of possible good moves.
Uh-huh.
So at that point, your move should be to improve your worst piece, make it more active, bring it into the game more.
Yeah.
So there's different types of things, right? That you and there's different ways of thinking about these.
Uh-huh.
First, you have to recognize the situation. It's like, hey, should I capture that piece? Should I make this sacrifice? Is it the right time? Or should I just do a setup move? And this decision, I'm trying to figure out, is it a setup or is this going to be a moneymaker? Or what's your intent? That comes back to what Linda was asking. And what is the intention behind this? Do you need to hit it is it a tactical move that we have to hit it this week because of other circumstances? Or no, I don't really need to do this. It'd be a nice to have. At that point, is like, well, is it the best thing that I should do with my time, or should I do another optimizing move with my resources?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe the analogy it sounds pretty good now that it came out.
I liked it. I mean, a lot of the time was when we talk about, and Michael does that. Michael does this often is, instead of trying to pick the best choice, what's the worst choice?
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's kind of a similar type of philosophy of what you're kind of talking about. Some of the things are set up. This is, that's hey, eliminate the worst and then fine. At least you're picking from 3 better instead of, having the worst one, still in there. So maybe that's a setup. Maybe that's a setup kind of strategy.
Pam, I pick you. I want to hear what you're thinking.
I don't have any wonderful insight at this point in time. I kind of agree that what Daniel and you said, that I think we need to back up on this and say, it's really not a decision about what day of the week it is. That's like decision number 3 or 4.
Right.
It's not number 1. And I feel like we jumped into this without anybody telling us what number 1 and number 2.
What do you think number 1 and number 2 are?
Well, I think it does start with what are you hoping to accomplish? Are you wanting to make more money? Are you wanting to increase your audience exposure? Are you wanting to increase your market penetration, market share?
Aren't all those
Yes.
related? Like, that feels
Yes.
every single one of those feels related to me.
Well, they are related, but
But
they're not the primary goal.
Yeah.
So
I
whatever
still
your
think you should try
primary
to
goal is-
define that better instead of just being vague about it.
Totally. No, that makes.
And then-
I'm not disagreeing.
And then once you've defined, okay, this is what we primarily want to accomplish. There's secondary and tertiary benefits or objectives as well. Then what's your timeline?
Yeah.
And because it's that if you have 1 week to do this, you got to go through this. You got to go through this right now.
Okay.
But if you've got time to do some, I don't know necessarily that market research is going to accomplish this unless you know who your target market is. I'm not a big believer in asking people and they tell you the truth.
Yeah. So I'll tell you where this came out of my head was, and Daniel, I think this gets maybe back to your first point is, or how this fell out of my head was thinking about, in some respect, thinking about this as the market research and being like, hey, can you get people to show up to whatever this thing is? I think there's a couple questions that fall out, like, maybe that's not the best approach, but it also makes me think of like, well, it's not even, if the audience isn't the same as the Tuesday show, does the Tuesday show even matter? But the other question is like, does it even matter? Like, does the Tuesday show matter whether it's working or not? If this thing's kind of just to throw another thing on the wall and see what sticks. In some respect, it could happen at the same time on Tuesday. I mean, it could be wholly unrelated, and maybe what this case did was just slam some things together that maybe are seemingly related, but just because they're shows, but they may really have nothing related to each other, I guess, potentially, if any of that.
Well, they're both
Yeah.
shows, right? One of them is a pitch thing. Another one is a case studies, I'm guessing, right? This is the other one.
Sure. I mean, that was the basis of it, but
So it sounds like you might have an overlap in the audience, right? I mean, that's presumable. I mean, I think that would be a fair presumption that you'll have some overlap. That people interested in business case studies are also interested in pitch competitions.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm surmising.
So I'm saying it's not all. This makes sense with the question and the fact that you can't do it on the Tuesday at the same time makes sense, because if you're overlapping audience, then you can't have two shows at the same time. And I'm guessing you'd be in both the shows too, and you can't do two at the same time either. So.
Yeah, Michael.
I find it ironic that you were describing the case at the beginning as a more micro case compared to previous. No, because it's becoming obvious that the micro really can't be decided until larger issues are. So I'm just saying it's an interesting case study.
Yeah.
In can you just go to the minor decision, or wait a minute, time out, let's get a better understanding of the larger macro approach. So that's a positive of the case.
Sure. It's kind of opposite to a lot of our cases where they start big and we maybe go the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda.
What I was thinking, I like Daniel's idea of, I took it one step further, Daniel, of making a theme of a chess theme, making a strategic move. Sometimes you make a move to the next move, even though you could see a better way out. I'm just kind of building off of what Daniel said. I like that idea because people want to practice their thoughts in a safe environment, and maybe you could pitch that with the chess theme. Is anybody understanding what I'm talking about? Oh, Michael here. So Daniel, you said, if you could help me out with this, when you make a move, there's a better move, a more strategic, but sometimes you make a move to get to the next better move. Is that right?
Well, sometimes there just isn't a great move. There isn't a winning move. There isn't a forcing move. There isn't a check. There isn't a capture that's coming. There isn't even something you can threaten. But you have to build positionally, bring in more pieces to the battle, because you have to mobilize in chess. Your pieces start off at the back rank, right? You have to bring them into the game. So if there is if it's not time to score, right, to do something tactical, then what you need to do is something strategic and positional that will make the following move, your position better for future further on in the game. So that was what I was trying to say.
So almost like a pitch event where you can bring great minds together, like Shark Tank. It's already been baked and they're trying to pitch a show, but this is where you're a safe place to pitch ideas before you get to Shark Tank. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You might not like it.
Yes.
That's okay. You don't have to like it.
I like this chess analogy. I think then, where my brain goes then is like, okay, well, I'm bought into that line of thinking, and that makes a lot of sense. I just then get into like, okay, well, like, how do we know what the triggers are then to kind of change mode, which isn't necessarily in this case, but then that's thinking about these different modes of like when should you be thinking one way or another way is.
Well, I'll offer that one. It sounds like this new event is something that will build brand awareness for you and eventually give you more clients and more revenue. But by itself is not a key revenue generator, because you're talking an audience of maybe 50 people or something like that.
Sure.
Right? So I can't imagine. So to me, this would be more of that strategic long-term move to help build your position, which eventually you can convert into something big.
Yeah.
If this was, oh goodness, this is a $5 million contract that's on the line, and this is going to make or break my business, that's more like that tactical move that I have to do because my survival is on the line, right? Or my business success is assured if I get this contract this year.
Yeah.
That's more of that. Okay, the timing is such that I have to get this one, and I have to make the right tactical move right here. This here is more of I'm positioning my pieces to be better off in the future. That's what this seems like to me.
Yeah. So then maybe if I had to rewrite this, it's thinking about what are the strategic, what is I guess like Linda said, what was it? What are you,
What's your intention?
your intention? Maybe that's
Yeah. What's the end
this
game?
idea. And then the question maybe that needs to be asked first is what's your intention? Who are you trying to reach? Those types of things before.
I'm almost thinking like you should vet business people.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas. I mean, long ago, I used to read that book, Side Hustle, or listen to that podcast, Side Hustle.
Yeah.
And he'd talk about this engineer. She loved her job, but she liked making jewelry better. And so finally she was able to make jewelry instead of being an engineer. And so, I mean, this could be, what's your side hustle? What do you wish you could do instead of what you're doing?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have to make a living.
Okay. Well, I'm coming up on my 35 minutes here. We didn't really talk about any of the answer or any of the options, which is great. I think that's usually what happens on these things. I don't really think it's worth it.
Well, and I think it's exciting because I've done some business things. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I wish I could have talked to someone about it more.
Yeah.
But when I went into those crash and burn business side hustles, it helped me to make other decisions. And I don't know, it could be your side hustle, crash and burn competition or something. Oh, stop. My dog's talking. Sorry.
All right. Does anybody have any summary or anything they'd like to throw out as a final thought on this discussion?
I think
Yeah.
it's a really great. Sorry, Michael. I think this is really great. I wish I had this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Someone going, "Hey, give me your ideas." I don't know if that really helps,
Sure.
but that's my opinion.
Michael, do you have a final thought here?
Yeah, just a brief thought that it was fun to take each day they presented and whatever they said, flip it upside down. So Monday, instead of being whatever they said about it, who was the show?
The furthest away one. Yeah.
Just flip each one and say, okay, but what's, like Linda said about Super Bowl or NFL? Okay, who's not watching NFL?
Yeah.
Who are they, etc. Just take everything.
Yeah.
and turn it.
What's the positive?
Yeah, be a contrarian with each presented idea. Turn it upside down.
Yeah.
Turn it.
Good. I like that. Cool. All right. Well, I'll cut that one at this point. I'm hoping to get. So I didn't prepare any titles or anything like that for next week. I was hoping to get a couple of maybe subject matter type things to talk about. I mean, I think my takeaway from today might be, how do you figure out where on the chess or where in the chess game you are? But are there any other types of issues that we're interested in diving into?
I like the Mission Impossible.
What do you mean by that?
Just write a case that's MI. And I know we're going back into the
Crazy one.
cinematic, yeah. But in other words, just a lot of them have that feeling. To me, they have the, okay, everyone, this is impossible, but here we go. But just for fun, Mr. Phelps or Ms. Phelps, your mission. It's just for fun, Matt. And I'll do the music. I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, Pam.
So I know you're going to be shocked, but I really like this week's case because it was taking what appears to be on the surface a stupid, small, trivial decision. You know, on the surface, you look at it and go, "Oh, you're picking the day of the week for a show. Come on, what? But what it made me stop and think is that sometimes decisions that we face, whether it's business, personal life, family, whatever, that you think are so trivial and unimportant that you make them flippantly or casually or you don't put a lot of thought or energy into it, that it can have huge repercussions. So that's how I approached this one. I was like, okay, do I really give it to about Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday or 4 days a week, memory or whatever, and some of the pros and cons, but you stop and think about thinking.
Right.
And how much thought, including it can go too far, how much thought should go into a decision before you make it, even what appears to be small decisions. So that's what I liked about this.
Yeah, I liked it too, and it's possible that, and the way you set it up, I think this was probably deliberate. There wasn't an obvious winner.
There never is.
Of any of the days, which is fairly realistic, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, I mean, the question of how long do you need to spend on it is if you don't think that if you think they're all relatively equal, you kind of have to understand why one is better than the other, right?
Yeah.
Based on that, thinking about your audience instead of just external factors like NFL and other things. It's the combination that leads to that better day for your. But it might only be incrementally better, so it may not matter a lot. That's why you don't want to spend a whole week.
Yeah, what normally happens in these cases is I write them in a certain way, and Pam's kind of right on the framing of how I wrote this and how I thought about this thing. And generally we come in, and what I kind of have this aha moment of is really the question that I asked, or the strategic options. They end up just being the wrong. It's the wrong way of thinking, which I find really interesting. If I had to reframe this case, it might have been like, what information would it maybe the right question to ask around this case is like, what information would be the most important piece of information to be able to make, this type of decision, or something more like in that framing versus, just picking the right day. So I'm kind of thinking maybe going down that line of like, well, can we identify try to identify like what's missing that would allow us to make the most educated decision. And then maybe we can have a discussion around kind of the evidence or the knowns and what type of information is actually important when it comes to making a decision, if that makes sense.
I think that's a good takeaway.
Okay. Awesome. I think I have my marching orders. Perfect.
This was fun. It was good.
I learned something. Daniel, thank you. I like analogies. The chess analogy was great. I always like to make sure I have like one nugget of feedback or takeaway at the end, and I think that was really helpful for me. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Yay.
All right. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your week, everybody. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Bye.